Okay, in between sets, as I'm working out, and as I often do in between sets, I slide into your comments section nice and I read your comments just so we could stay connected, and I always know what's on your mind and I can address it. So somebody just asked me a cool question, said, DJ, you're on top, where could you possibly go from here? And you always talk about outworking your competition. Who's your competition? It's a great question. Thank you for the compliment, by the way. I'm fortunate enough to be on top, but anytime you reach the top, you always want to make sure that you have the desire to raise the bar and take the brass ring to places it's never been. That's the key with being on top. Just because it's never been done doesn't mean it can't be done. And in terms of competition, great question. Everyone's my competition, but a fundamental key that I've learned over the years is, and I'll share it with you, my number one competition is me. It's always you versus you. You got to be the one to get up every morning, be disciplined, put in the consistent daily hard work, because that gains success. No coach, no trainer, no mentor, no boss can do it. You versus you. Double.
I knew I wanted to be something, and it was important to me to be something. It was important to me that I didn't fail. But by the way, and if I did fail, at least what was also important was the lesson. And I didn't realize that until I got older, because you know, when you're in it, you're in the grind, you don't really recognize those things when you're younger, but I could recognize them now and the importance of them now. And just in terms of the drive and the determination, a lot of it was experience too. You get your ass kicked, you get back up, and you put the gloves back on and you swing away.
All right, Saturday afternoon, empty gym, the way we like it, we're tripping over here. It's leg day, which means it's gonna be sweaty, painful, and fun. They say that nothing good happens in the 4 a.m. hour. Well, I can guarantee you this, it's 4:45 a.m., it's still dark outside. Look at that, the lights just went out, and I'm getting ready to kill this AM cardio. Train twice, I'll get my cardio in and breakfast, and then I'll go hit the weights. Clanging and banging, we call it. You know, the masters make the hardest things in the world look easiest. And in the moments where you push yourself, when no one else is around, those moments have a tendency to lead to success. Oftentimes when I see kids and they have been labeled, oh, they're punk kids. True. But there's good in them. And we got to see that potential. And I enjoy that today, seeing the potential in kids just like he did. Especially kids who are kind of wayward and have been going through it. I know what it's like. Our most powerful and most important is when we just embrace who we are. It's just believing in yourself and, and embracing who you were born to be. Whether it's 3 o'clock in the morning, by the way, when we were talking in London, I was getting up at 3 because I had to be on set by 4. So whatever time my call time is, those and directors and our producers, whatever time my call time, so my call time is at 7, then you back your clock up 4 hours, and then that's when I get up and train twice. Just wrap that 4 a.m. cardio. There's no substitute for hard work. I get up super early. Generally, I have this thing where I like beating the sun up, not just in terms of before the sun comes up, I have to get up. How do I do it? It's just important to find balance, and I try and do things really that I really enjoy doing. And a lot of times, you know, it's like in life, right? Life brings like drama, and you got to deal with this person, and a funky relationship here, and all these things. Work 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know if there's a golden rule. I can tell you this, that I believe anything is possible, right? I live in the world of possibility. And I also believe that we can accomplish anything with our two hands and just putting in the work with our two hands. And also, you hear this often, but it's really, really true. You gotta find something, if you love what you do and be passionate about what you do and find something that you can be passionate, like, it really helps. You know, it gives you that motivation when you wake up in the morning.
Consistently being told that whatever it is that you want to do, you've got to get after it. You got to get after it. There's no substitute for hard work. Hard work always pays. You know, those type of mantras over time. And those are your examples of you know, what it's like to get beat down, what it's like to get, just in terms of the struggle, what it's like to be evicted out of your apartment, what it's like to have your car repossessed, and watch your parents go through that I think is defining as a kid.
You know, I grew up, there was a period of time where I was making a lot of mistakes, David. I was getting arrested multiple times. By the time I was 16, I was arrested maybe 7 or 8 times, fighting theft, doing a lot of things that I shouldn't have been doing. I was really lucky that I had a couple of people who, along with my parents, who saw the potential in me even when I didn't see the potential in me. And it wasn't until I got older, had a little bit of luck, a little bit of success, that I started to understand the value and the power of someone giving back.
Some people call you the best pure athlete in wrestling today. Let's start off with a bit of your history. When you broke in, you were packaged as a part of a wrestling legacy. Your father is Rocky Johnson, or Sweet Ebony Diamond, as Canadian fans know him. Tony Atlas was a family friend, all kinds of family roots. Were you ever concerned that you wouldn't get your chance to prove yourself on your own terms?
No, I was never ever concerned about that, because nor was I ever concerned about trying to fill their shoes, because my dad's, they were just too big, you know, my grandfather as well. But at the same time, I always knew that one day, whenever I got the opportunity, I was just going to make it happen. Persistence and hard work. I knew one day it was going to happen. When I made up my mind to get involved in the business that I have a passion for, that I grew up in, I knew that there's going to be a time where the success will come. And that's through hard work and consistency. It's you know, the same old story, things like that. So it's surprising to a degree, but I was well aware that it was going to happen.
He said, what you see in the light is exactly who people are in the dark. There's two sides of pain that I don't think a lot of people really understand, right? There's one side of pain that's the suffering and the discomfort side of pain. Because that hurts. You remember what that felt like. But then there's another side of pain that's called effort. It's called glory. It's called, if you can find a way to push through pain, there's something greater on the other side of it. And if you never tap into it, it's because the first time you felt it, you backed off. The first time you felt, that burn, the first time you felt that it's too much. And we rationalize with ourselves to where we automatically stop.
And as human beings, you know, failure is not a bad thing. You know, ask yourself, what's the opportunity from the failure, and get in the game, because when you get to the last hour of your last day, it will not be the failures you regret, it'll be all the risks you didn't take.
of us give up so much in life so quickly. But suppose I told you the greatest pain of my life is the reason I'm standing here today.
You cannot get to the mountaintop without taking a few missteps.
The greatest pain of my life is the reason I'm standing here today. And when I fell, I remember laying on the ground. And I said, Lou, ain't nobody out here gonna help you get up. What makes you get up when you fall down? What makes your mentality change if there's a great situation or there's a bad situation? How do you dictate that based off the level of pain? They done wrote me off. I say, I might as well pack it up. That many people got control over what I do from this point forward, going forward. That many people can tell me.
I believe that's the single most important element that separates the quality of people's lives. It's not just the ability to have hunger, but to sustain it. Hunger means that you want more. You want more of yourself. You want to make a bigger difference. The one thing they all have in common, I think, is they're hungry. Most people start out with hunger at an early stage of life and they lose it. But the people that come to me are hungry either because something's happened. I think everybody is born with hunger. Like there's a desire to grow, to expand, to learn, and then disappointment sets in early in life for most people. And then we look to blame something outside of ourselves. And there are many events in our lives that can affect us all. We've all had pain and challenges. If you can find within yourself the part of you that wants to constantly give something more than yourself, if you can find a mission larger than yourself, then you're more pulled to do something than trying to push yourself.
Didn't have enough strength. And I sat there for 30 minutes until I made up in my mind, stop crying. Just grab the bar. See, sometimes we think the pain is what controls us. It's actually our subconscious mind. That's what dictates most of our lives. That if you can find a way to push through, that if you can find a way to not make it about you. Learn to appreciate the occasional storms that come in your life. Just learn to appreciate how small they are, the occasional storms that come every day. And then that's the ingredient. Pain is a repetition of the psyche. until you learn how to figure it out, until you learn how to tap it on the back and say, I know you there, but I'm built to deal with you. I don't want nobody to leave here today and not understand why we must find a way to push through pain to understand that's on the other side of that is glory. I realized that I turned my greatest pain into my greatest achievement.
A lot of kids don't until it's too late. The one thing I watched the most in my career was wasted talent, to where it's almost scary that people will throw away opportunities like that.
See, if you're playing it safe, you're not going to win. If you're playing it safe, it's by trying things that you figure out how far you can go. You got to get outside the box.
About there's two sides of pain that I don't think a lot of people really understand, right? There's one side of pain that's the suffering and the discomfort side of pain. You remember what that felt like. But then there's another side of pain that's called effort. It's called glory.
Should people make New Year's resolutions?
People should make New Year's resolutions if they're actually watching this video on January 1st. If they're watching it on December 23rd, they should make December 23rd resolutions. Waiting miraculously to when the calendar flips to start making your life better is silly at best and pisses me off at worst. And so whenever you're watching this, because it lives on the internet, and thus that means you could watch this on June 17th, make a resolution every day of your life because you only get one at bat. The reason people struggle with having a New Year's resolution and sticking to it is because it was a tactic to do a New Year's resolution. Hence why my first answer was right, which is when you actually decide to make a change in your life, whether about weight or job or going out with somebody or relationships, that's when you actually pull it off. It's religion, not tactics.
Statistics show that 95% of the people that actually made a New Year's resolution have already broken it by today. And that's if you even made a resolution. I mean, think about it. Most people don't even make a resolution anymore. Why? Because they've made them from years and years and years, and they know they're not going to follow through. So after a while, who wants to disappoint yourself? Who wants to be upset with yourself? Why even bother to set a new standard for this year? You know it's going to be the same as last year. So the question is, what is it that makes us even want to make a resolution? I mean, it's an interesting question. Why is it at the beginning of a year we have this tradition, but it goes beyond tradition. It's something inside of us that makes us want to make things better. And I think part of it is the calendar gives us this idea that we could have a fresh start, that we could start from fresh and have this great victory. Let's use the calendar to serve you today. Let's just see, what does it really take to make this thing happen? Because there's no denying that inside of you, the only thing that's going to make you happy in the year ahead and the decades ahead is going to be having you have an experience where on a regular basis, you feel like your life is making progress. So the secret to real happiness is progress. Progress equals happiness. And if we can make progress on a regular basis, we feel alive. And that's why at the beginning of the year, we get this thing like, okay, I can have this fresh start. I could really do what my soul desires. I could expand. I could grow. I could improve. I could change. Or maybe better than change, I could progress. So if you want to make real progress, then you really got to look at your life in a different way. You got to say, I got to take control of this process and not just hope it's going to work out like people do who make a resolution. Because really, isn't that what they're really doing at the beginning of the year? They're saying, well, here's my resolutions for the year, and they really basically tell you their wishes. It's their wish list. It's what they hope it all comes together. And then they call it a resolution, but they don't know what a resolution is. When you resolve something, to have a resolution is to resolve it. When you've resolved, this is how it's going to be. That's when you cut off any possibility except the thing you've committed to.
Make a resolution every day of your life because you only get one at bat.
Most people, they're stating what they hope will come together, and if it doesn't happen, then they're disappointed, but they're not too disappointed because they're not too vested. What does it take to successfully create a lasting change in your life? To not only have a New Year's resolution you follow through on, but really have a lasting change? Well, the first step for lasting change is very much like making a New Year's resolution. Fundamentally, it's the same. The first step is you got to have a vision for what it is you really, truly want. I mean, what are most people's New Year's resolutions? I'm going to stop eating sugar. I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. Problem with that is it's not very inspiring for most people. It's not telling you what you're going to get. It's only what you're not going to do. And it's kind of hard to have you move forward with that. A vision is about what you're here to create. A vision that really works is one that excites you. If you say, well, my resolution, my goal, my outcome for this month, this week, this year is to lose X number of pounds, that's okay, but it's not very compelling. It has to be a compelling vision. It's got to have something that has the power to pull you, not something you have to push yourself to do. Those are two different kinds of motivation. Push requires willpower, and willpower never lasts. What will last is pull. Having something so exciting, so attractive, something you desire so much that you have a hard time going to sleep at night and you get so up early in the morning to rock it and take it to the next level. That's what you're looking to create, and that isn't easy to get. And the bottom line of our follow-through comes down to our emotional intensity. You got to have strong enough reasons that you're going to follow through when the going gets tough. They don't have strong enough reasons to push themselves through what's going to be necessary to get that dream, to get that goal, when the inevitable challenges come up, when you're starving, hungry, and you're trying to go on a diet, right? When you got no time and you're stressed out and you haven't worked out still, and that's what you're supposed to do. When the economy gets tight and what you thought you were going to do doesn't work, and so you give up on the goal instead of finding another way to get there. You don't let the fear take you over if you've got strong enough reasons. Reasons come first, answers come second. If you get a compelling vision and you got strong enough reasons that will push you through the tough times, you're going to do things other people don't do. Instead of collapsing, even if you get off target, you won't go, oh, I blew it. You'll get right back on target, make the change, make things happen.
We do our best when our destinations are beyond the measurement, when our reach continually exceeds our grasp, and when we have immortal finish lines. And when we do this, the race is never over. The journey has no port. The adventure never ends because we are always on the way. So do this, and let somebody else come up and tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, you scored. Let them run up and tap you on the shoulder and say, man, you won. Let them come tell you, you can go home now. Let them say, I love you too. Let them say, thank you. Take the lid off the man-made roofs that we put above ourselves and always play like an underdog.
When you really get clear and it's compelling and you're reviewing it every day, you've got strong reasons and you're reviewing it every day and you're feeling it, the brain becomes incredibly acute at noticing anything to get you to move forward. What do people do with a New Year's resolution? They come up with something they kind of want. It's not a compelling vision. They don't really have strong enough reasons, and they never review it again until to notice that they broke what they said they really want to have make happen, because they didn't really resolve. If you resolve, you got the vision, it's compelling, you review it daily, and you feel it, you envision it, and you experience it. Simple as it sounds. Now, ultimately, what is this really about? Ultimately, if you're going to have lasting change in anything, you're really talking about just raising your standards. Raise your standards. And what does that mean? Corny as it sounds. Raise your standards. Oh, thank you for the breakthrough thought, Tony. Lasting change is different than a goal. You don't always get your goals, but you always get your standards. But when you decide something is a must for you, an absolute must, when you cut off any possible, you say, I'm gonna find the way or I'm gonna make the way. Human beings, when they resolve things, when they make a real resolution inside themselves, which is they raise the standard and they make it a must, they find the way. If you said to me, well, I'm really gonna work hard to stop smoking, but I've been a smoker my whole life and I am a smoker. I know your days are numbered. You're gonna be back smoking cigarettes again because we all act consistent with who we believe we are. I tell people the strongest force in the whole human personality is this need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. If you define yourself as somebody who is really conservative, you're not gonna be crazy and act nuts unless you're really drunk or something, and then you can say it's the alcohol, when it's really just you finally getting permission to be yourself. The alcohol is your excuse. If you're a really crazy person, you act crazy, outrageous, playful. You don't act conservative because that's not who you are. Very often people say, well, I can't do that, I'm not that kind of person. And I always say to people, really, when did you define yourself? I mean, very often we made decisions in our youth or very young about what to believe, about what we were capable of, about who we are as a person, and that becomes the glass ceiling, if you will, that controls us. Willpower doesn't last, but rituals can last a lifetime. I bet you have some rituals in your life right now you've been doing for years, even though some of them don't serve you. I'm just saying, wake yourself up. You want a new year and a new life. You don't need to start on January 1st. Start today. Start with this little video. Listen, how's your new year coming out so far? When did you define yourself? I mean, really, how many years ago did you come up with what you could and couldn't do in your life? How many years ago? Most people, if they really look at how they're living their life today, it's based on a set of standards, a set of beliefs that they made choices about 10, 20, 30 or more years ago.
I think so many people are keyboard activists, right? Everybody's good at sending a tweet about how the world should be and nobody's doing anything about it. And that is just very much human nature.
We've gotten soft as a culture.
Yes. Of course we've gotten soft as a culture in the US because the US has had an incredible 200-year run. Right? Like, this is just what happens. So as a culture, I can't speak for, people that live in the Amazon River, and I can't speak for, people that still live in Belarus, but the American culture is soft, and that's a great thing. That means there's been enormous amounts of prosperity, but let's not be naive. I mean, people literally complain when somebody gives them the wrong amount of like extra cream in a Starbucks $6 coffee. My lack of interest in complaining is so high, and when I watch what people complain about, it breaks my heart because they completely lack perspective. And I genuinely believe my happiness and optimism comes from my perspective. Even in political unrest times like right now, a lot of people are very bent out of shape, but the reality is that it's just never been better to be a human being. That's just the truth, that's just data, that's reality. And yeah, I mean, it's just a very fun time to be alive. And I think the way people look at the world right now, because it's such an incredible time, is actually the quickest tell to who they are. If you think it sucks or it's bad, you have losing pessimistic DNA. And if you think it's awesome and phenomenal, you have optimistic winning DNA, and I believe that to be true. And so, that's where we're at. We're beating ourselves up. Like everybody sucks at something, right? Like we all have shortcomings and we all have strengths. And for me, it's like, why don't we just audit that? Like, why don't we just look at it that way and be like, all right, well, I'm good at this, but I'm not good at that. Like, and then I only focus what I'm good at, right? Like, I don't dwell that I can't fix shit around the house. I call somebody to fix it. Like, I'm not a man. I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't get it. Like we all, like, I also think it's awesome that I'm so emotionally stable and I'm the emotional backbone of everybody. Is that what a dude's supposed to do? Like these cliches, these stereotypes, they're so silly. I'm fully in love with myself. But I'm also fully in love with everybody else too, right? It's not like it goes both ways. Like I tell people to buy into me, that work for me, it's because I buy into them first. Like, I don't need anybody to gain trust with me. It's there. Like, I believe that the human race is so grossly underrated. We are good. Of course we have some bad. There's fucking 7 billion of us. But like, when you look at our net score, it's bonkers shit. Like, do you know how much damage we could be doing to each other on an hourly basis? And we don't? Like, we're still here. Like, we won. We're the alpha being, and we've figured out how to stay together. This is insane when you think about it. And yet everybody wants to dwell on like somebody said something mean. If you want to be an anomaly, you have to act like one. Like people want all these special things to happen, but then they're acting like everybody else. And that gets into the Saturdays in your 20s, like, or just like taking risks or things of that nature. Like, if there's anything they take away, it's like, look, like you're gonna only be so pretty, you're only gonna be so smart, like there's things that are gonna be natural and then there's things that you can actually control. I do believe, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong, I don't, but I do believe that work ethic is a taught behavior. It's something you do have more control over. And you know what really sealed the deal for me? Getting healthier. I was 38 years old and it didn't come natural to me. Like it didn't come natural to me at all. I hate the gym. I hate it now. I hate it, I don't like it, I don't want to do it. But I knew it was important. And somewhere around midway through being 38 years old, I got serious, I figured out my system, I made the financial commitment, and I've won, right? And I'll never lose again because the system was I needed to be accountable to another human being. So it was about Mike and now Jordan and whoever else is my trainer. I'm doing it almost weirdly more to not let them down. I feel like there's a shift that can make people work harder. The big one that I push is you're gonna die. Like if you're like to me, life is broken down into complaining and not. So if you're not complaining, well then I have no advice for you. I'm pumped. Like you did it. Like I have friends who make $42,000 a year, work 9 to 4, kind of, with an hour and a half lunch and 45 minutes of YouTube and 10 minutes of bullshitting and an hour of complete wasted time in a meeting. So they're kind of working like 6, hours a week, right? But they're pumped. And they text me, these are high school friends, and they'll text me like how happy they are to be the coach of their kids' baseball team. And that's amazing. Like that seems very obvious to me. That's right. You know what's super weird? I'm actually weirdly envious. It sounds cool, like in theory, right? Grass is always greener, right? Like far less pressure, like all that time with my kids, oof, that would be cool. Like there's just like all these things that I can justify. So to me, but I have friends who have $100 million in the bank because of Facebook's IPO, who complain, who are still hungry, who want to do even more, who will complain to me because they know I work a lot about no work-life balance and they don't get to spend enough time with their family. And I'm like, you have $100 million. Like you could stay home. Like you're in control. Like don't complain about it. You've made that choice. Don't bullshit me. Like you want to spend more time with your family? Spend more time with your family. I'm trying to be very careful about what I'm saying versus what I'm doing, because that's how you get exposed. And I don't mean like people calling you out and being like, you suck. I mean to yourself. I don't want to be exposed by myself. It's looking yourself in the mirror and saying like, am I doing this right? So to me, there's so many people that are talking shit about how big of an entrepreneur they're gonna be and how much they're gonna achieve, and they don't work on weekends. You know, I worked every Saturday of my 20s. And I talk to 20-year-old entrepreneurs every single day. Lately, I've been saying to them, this Saturday, you're gonna have more time off than I've had in my entire 20s on a Saturday. So before you tell me how you're gonna be bigger than me, start thinking about what you're actually doing. I'm careful to not give advice that I know is uniquely something that I was gifted with. How do I tell you that, oh, here's how it actually works, and it almost started happening, it didn't happen. I actually get goosebumps, real heavy goosebumps when I hear something that I know feels right. What's the advice there? Hey, Johnny, start getting goosebumps. There's certain things that I can't talk about because I know they're not practical. They're intuitive to me. I plan to instill kindness into my kids. I plan on instilling perspective into my kids. I plan on instilling just being a good human being. I plan on making sure they don't use their parents' wealth and micro fame and leverage to impose on any other person. I'm just petrified of that. If my kids try to punk their friends on my shit, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of them. That's just loser DNA. You didn't do that. Right? I'm not obsessed with tactics. I'm obsessed with religion. So I have a lot of wealthy friends at this point who think it's smart for them to sit first class, but the kids in coach. It's a tactic. They send their kids to Africa to build a school for a week. It's a tactic. It's like my friends that love the environment. The number 2 sector in the world that is hurting the environment is the fashion industry. When you run the math of what's doing bad to the earth, it's the number 2 industry behind gas. I don't even want to say it because I'm not sure if it's gas and oil. The number 2 industry, this I know for a fact, is the fashion industry. So all my fancy friends who love the environment, are they willing to give up their fucking Louis bags? Let's see, right? So I think people talk shit. So you let them sit coach and you went first class, but you went to, Hawaii and ate at all the best places. You can't pick and choose. To me, it's binary. So I don't want to be a hypocrite. So my big thing is look, you need to be kind. Mean is just non-negotiable in our family, right? And then you just need to not be full of shit. If you want to look at daddy's mountain and you want to say what I did to my dad's, and that was a big mountain for an immigrant, wow, dad did it, right? If you want to say, I'm going to climb that and I'm going to climb bigger, awesome. I'm pumped. I'm weirdly not cheering for you because I'm just a weirdly competitive dude. This is actually something I'm not proud of. I'm comfortable saying this and I believe this is a flaw, but I don't want my kids to beat me. I don't. I hate saying it. I know this is where I get in trouble. People will take one little clip from one video interview and they're like, you're bad. It's just my truth. I don't want to bullshit you guys. I'm that competitive. I just want them to be all in on them, right? I don't need them to be an entrepreneur. I don't need them to make me proud. They don't need to go to Harvard. They don't need to do shit. They need to be themselves, all in, and they need to be kind, and I'm good. Everybody thinks their stuff is so good. Every day, Gary, my Instagram's so on fire, it's so awesome. Why is nobody, why am I not gaining followers? Because it's not awesome. We all think our stuff is the best, and I get that, but yeah, that would be my advice, only because that also is liberating. To me, everything's about breathing, right? To me, everything is about take full ownership for everything, and then everything gets easy, because then you're in control. And then learn how to love to lose. I think that's how entrepreneurship, that's how life is. We all have losses. And so I like losses. I love adversity. I like the climb. I like the chip on my shoulder. I like when people are like, oh, I knew it. He's not that good. That is I'm even weirdly scared as I continue to ascend and I'm getting popular and what do you say, the marketing leading, people start putting these words in front of my name. I'm like, am I gonna sabotage myself to recorrect this? I like adversity. So Yeah, all on me. You know, I enjoy losses. Now all of a sudden, like what? You become completely invincible. I feel invincible. I really genuinely, outside of the health of myself and 20 people, feel 100% invincible as a person. I know what my intent is. I want to do good at nobody else's expense. I'm far from perfect. We all are. And so it's just easy. It feels very light to live life. I'm just in a good mood. Them home, and I think modern day parents and most parents do not do that. I think they focus on dumb shit like grades because they are insecure and they want to put the bumper sticker that their kid went to, you know, Stanford. Like, it's real fucked up when you really think about what's actually happening. So much of it is misery loves company, or people reflecting of what's inside of them.
Is the impact that you want to have on the world?
Same thing that attracts so many of millions of people to people that are selling bullshit, those same people are attracted to me. And what I want to do is suffocate out all those other people and become the alpha of that entire world of people that are hoping and are desperate to look at me. And what I want to do is inspire 2 14-year-old girls in Kansas City right now to build $1 billion company on having a bunch of employees hugging each other in the halls. I think that Steve Jobs came along, became an icon, but the sad part of that narrative was he did not treat his employees well. He became an icon, and the narrative became he got the most out of people by being a jerk, and that became romanticized. And a lot of people in Silicon Valley today run companies where they're mean because they think that's the right thing to do because they put Steve Jobs on a pedestal. I want my pedestal moment. I want to become that big, and what I want to come from that is that kids that aren't even born today think that they can build a $5 billion company and be a great guy or a great gal. I want to build the biggest building in town ever by just building the biggest building in town, while I think most people try to tear down everybody else's building. So I think positivity and good is practical advice to building an empire, and I want to be the poster child of the person that built the biggest, baddest empire and did it by being a good dude along the way. And not everybody's gonna be happy about everything I did, but if it's 97% of people talking good behind your back, that's a real legacy. And I want to do it in a pop culture way. I'm gonna do it anyway. People have done that before. Just so you know, there's plenty of people. Warren Buffett's a really good dude. Like, there's plenty of people that have done that. There's a difference. I want to do it, and I want to be a rock star, right? Like, and that's where you influence people. Like, you know, like I want to do it, but I also want to be the most popular. And so then that person's like, oh, I want to be him, so I guess I'll be nice. Like, I want to literally take people who have DNA that's kind of nice and make them more nice because they think that's how I became big. So I basically want to trick the business world into becoming kinder.
They can adapt under any circumstance. Bruce Lee said,
I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Be like water. And when water enters a cup, it becomes the cup. That's the philosophy I'm going into this contest. It doesn't matter what rule set or stipulations they try and put on me. I can adapt and overcome to any situation, and that's what I will do on August 26th. I've heard this every step of the way. He's just a joke. The Joker, I've been called. Until they are in there, then it is no joke. So step by step, one enters, they say the same thing, it's all a joke, he's not for real, he's only talk, he only got here because he's this and that. And I go in and I put my opponent away, I do exactly what I said I would do. Now we're in a new game, it's just another day for me. Greatness is for the brave, so That's it. I'm brave and I'm confident that I'm going in. I'm going in to represent martial arts as a whole. A true martial artist can overcome any stipulation, any rule set. In my mind, this is Bruce Lee stuff. Be like water. You know, if water enters the cup, it becomes the cup. So this is me entering into a different sport, different rule set, but I will become that sport and that rule set and excel. What was useful was used. What was not was discarded. Bruce Lee. If I was to say anything to them, it would be to believe in where you come from, to celebrate your surroundings. I think many people from where I'm from Ireland or from anywhere in Europe, it's always, or anywhere all over the world, it's almost like you've got to go somewhere else to achieve greatness or to achieve a high level. I was always told, and I'm continued to be told, you're not going to succeed at a high level unless you do training in America or training, so you know what I mean? And I never believed in it. I always felt that was a weak mind. And fighters that run to another place or another gym, it's almost like a weak mind. I always looked around where I came from, believed in my surroundings, believed in the team that I had with me, and rose up alongside them. And I believe that's the true key to success. Celebrate your surroundings and rise together. This is a ruthless business, and I must be ruthless in there, and I will be. I said 4, but that's me being humble. I don't believe he will even exit the first round, but I'm trying to be humble here. A fight's a fight, and a fight night, it's me and him in there. Am I going to beat him? I'm going to beat him under the specific rule sets that that favor him. It's not a true fight. We're not fighting under no rules or mixed martial arts rules where the field opens up a lot more wider for me. That's confidence from my end. So I'm coming in and stepping into his world, and I am making it my own.
This is the day we're absolutely connected. If I took my hand and put a knife through it right now, you know, you would feel it some way. Emotionally, you would feel it. You know, it's like, there's no question about it to me. So everything we do to each other, or everything we see in each other, is us seeing ourselves.
I did stand-up in the clubs for 15 years. But it's never too late to make your mark. You may have to quit for a while and sell some paint. But you don't have to give up your dream.
For me, it was so much fun to me to sit in my room and make faces and talk to myself in different voices.